Hello. This case review demonstrates the storm target approach for the August 21st, 2022 flood event in the Dallas-Fort Worth, Texas area. This video will illustrate how storm target essentially targets storm hazards to provide greater precision and timeliness than the information provided in government watches and warnings, supporting better decisions to take protective action when in imminent danger, and not do so when not yet in danger. For this case, we'll focus on the Dallas-Fort Worth TV market area. This is one of two flood cases available in this video series. A moderate risk of excessive rainfall was forecast for northern Texas for the evening of August 21st. A flood watch was in effect for all of northern and central Texas for nearly a 24-hour period, starting the afternoon of the 21st. For at least the first 3 to 4 hours of the watch, no impactful weather was suggested by model guidance, thus any monitor graphic would indicate no impacts into at least the early evening. The evening sounding from Fort Worth, Texas, showed an ideal environment for heavy rainfall with a moist environment, sufficient instability for thunderstorms, which can yield excessive rainfall rates. Weak flow aloft supported fairly slow storm motion. For this summertime event, there was not much in the way of dynamic support for storm development. However, there was a warm front at 850 millibars, along which air was converging, and along which there was an axis of anomalously high precipitable water values. Cloud layer mean flow was weak, suggesting very slow storm motion would result. We had a warm front at the surface well south of Dallas-Fort Worth, but it was a little too stable at night for surface-based storms. Instead, elevated storms would be favored along the 850 millibar warm front over the Dallas-Fort Worth area. The high-res model forecast soundings for 3Z were interesting, with more low-level southerly flow south of Dallas than north, illustrating the warm front over the area. Satellite imagery showed an east to west band of thunderstorms along the 850 millibar warm front, with radar also showing storms developing over the Dallas-Fort Worth area. The latest high-resolution models were mostly focused on a band of heavy storms over far northern Texas, which radar was not showing. But the latest HRRR model also suggested slow-moving storms over Dallas-Fort Worth. These are the first clues that a flood threat might soon develop over northern Texas. Again, we have a flood watch over all of northern and central Texas for a lengthy period of time. However, everything appears to be pointing to an axis along I-20, including the Dallas-Fort Worth Metroplex, for a short-term flood threat. As suggested in the chat message that's shown, a monitor area could be set up in this part of the flood watch area at 0Z or 7 p.m. local time, where excessive rainfall during the next 2 to 4 hours seemed most likely. The threat appeared much less elsewhere across the flood watch area. Through 2Z or 9 p.m. local time, radar showed very slow-moving storms with heavy rain over and west of the Fort Worth area. Rainfall estimates have not exceeded half of flood guidance, as indicated in the lower left image, but the chat message suggests a prepare area for the next 1 to 2 hours for this area, given the potential for continued heavy rain that could total above guidance during this period. By 2:30Z, however, rainfall was adding up quickly around Fort Worth, now approaching flood guidance. So an action area would replace the prepare area, as given by the chat message. 30 minutes later, around 3Z, rainfall amounts were exceeding flood guidance in the Fort Worth area, and a flash flood warning was issued for all of Tarrant County. However, the action area would focus on the northern half of Tarrant County, essentially Fort Worth west and north, given much lower rainfall amounts and lesser near-term flood potential south and east of Fort Worth. We're downscaling the threat area with focus on where flooding is occurring or expected. At the same time, heavy rain was moving over the Dallas area, particularly the north side of Dallas. This would be the time for a prepare area for the Dallas area for the potential of slow-moving convection over the Dallas area, as suggested in the chat messages, even though no such messaging might be coming from the Weather Service. Through 4Z or 11 p.m., flood impacts are likely worsening around Fort Worth, with rainfall well above flood guidance and heavy rainfall continuing. Meanwhile, heavy rain is increasing around the Dallas area. The chat message suggests upgrading to action for the Dallas area, particularly from the city northward, as not much heavy rain has been observed south of Dallas. There's also focus on a band of heavy rain to the south of Fort Worth, leading to suggested southward extension of the action area. By midnight, a very slow-moving band of heavy rain continued south of Fort Worth, with the rain starting to wind down in the city. A new flash flood warning has been issued for the county south of Tarrant to cover this heavy band of rain. We also continue to see heavy rain across Dallas and its northern and northeastern suburbs. The chat message suggests maintaining the action area. Shortly after 1 a.m., a flash flood warning is issued for the Dallas area, well after rainfall exceeded flood guidance when flooding would initiate. In fact, the radar showed a large area of heavy rain over Dallas and areas north and east that was moving very little, a dangerous situation. The action graphic would have covered this well. Meanwhile, heavy rain continued to fade across Fort Worth, though flooding is likely continuing there. Heavy rain stalled over the Dallas area for several hours, totaling 6 to 10 inches and producing major flooding within our monitor area, shown in the green outline. So in summary, Storm Target could have been utilized to target the threat area in time and space, focusing on a smaller region along the I-20 corridor compared to the much larger flood watch area. The prepare and action graphics could have been utilized to highlight the areas of likely and imminent threat, even before flash flood warnings were issued, providing lead time ahead of flood initiation, which warnings often do not provide. This illustrates the value of the Storm Target initiative for flash flood events. Please review the initiative's website at storm-target.com to view other case demos within this video series. Thank you.